Yo, what is good, everybody? It's your boy Tej, and today I'm gonna be showing y'all how to make a beat for Summer Walker. It's gonna be that modern R&B type of vibe, and I'm gonna be showing y'all how I made the entire beat from scratch, all the way through making the loop and adding the drums as I go. As always, the finished beat will be played at the end of the video, so be sure to stick around for that. And with all that out of the way, let's just hop right into the beat. So for this beat, I ended up going with the tempo of 132. For this type of vibe, you could probably go with anything between like the 115 to like 145 range. And that's not super rigid. You could just choose a tempo that you really like. I opened up the LA Custom C7 Grand Piano preset in Omnisphere, and I went into the piano roll and I laid out these chords right here, and I decided to keep it fairly basic in terms of the amount of chords and what I did with them. So to show you how I constructed them, I pulled up the D major scale as shown here into a sampler just so I could see these notes in the other channels while I was making the melodies. So starting off right here, I built an F sharp minor 7th chord. So what I did is I just went up the scale degrees as I would normally when constructing a chord. So just using the 1, 3, 5 in the scale, and then since it's a 7th chord, we'll add the 7 relative to the F sharp in the scale, which is E. And I built this chord using the root note of E instead. Again, I just used that 1, 3, 5 relative to whatever it was, putting an E, G, B, and then the 7 of E, which is D, and then the 9 of B, which is F sharp, which is basically just the 2 of the scale. And then I added these 2 bass notes down here, which pretty much just copied the root note of the chords. And then I just lowered their velocities because I didn't want them to be too loud. And then all I did is I just copied that over for the full 8 measures. And for effects on that, I put on this bandpass EQ, cut out some of the lows and some of the highs just to kind of give it a bit of like a filter effect. Then I put some RC20 on it. I used the Vinyl 1 preset and I adjusted the wobble and distortion to my liking just to kind of give it that lo-fi type of feel. Lastly, I added this fruity reverb and I put it on the Venue preset and adjusted the decay, dry, and wet knobs. Next, I added this LA Custom Wash preset, again in Keyscape, and I put in these little counter melodies right here with our piano chords. Again, just using that D major scale just to kind of pencil in some notes that I thought sounded good. I also adjusted the velocities on them just so they weren't too loud relative to everything else. And for effects on that one, I again just put a bandpass EQ on it just to cut out some of the key noises and just a little bit of the high frequencies. Next, I went to X-Band and I got this pickless pick bass preset and I put in this kind of bass guitar pattern on the bottom. I didn't want to make it too overly complicated, but I also didn't want to make it super simple. So for this pattern, I pretty much just followed the bass notes of these chords up here, and then I threw in a bunch of other notes just to make it sound a little more interesting and just to add a little more of a vibe to it. And then for my last melody, I added this legato tremolo strings preset, also in X-Band. Kept it pretty simple. I just put in these super high notes up here. I just left it as like whole note trills. I don't have those really ring out for the whole time. I kind of add them for ear candy, and you'll kind of see how I end up doing that. So what I did is I routed all those sounds into the mixer and I rendered them out as audio clips. Once I had these rendered out, for these strings right here, I added an automation clip for the volume. So how you do that is you go to the top left right here, click on it and go to automate and volume, and then an automation clip will pop up. I made those strings kind of swell in and swell out in volume. In context with all the rest of our melodies, we have something that sounds like this. After that, I arranged the loop and I exported it and put it into a new FLP. So here we have the second project file. I haven't done anything with the sample. We just kind of have a bare bones drum pattern at the moment. All I've added so far is the snare and layered it with the snap on every other hit. you want to get that real nice R&B hi-hat drum bounce, what you got to do is you got to go and fill each 4 steps, go into your piano roll, and then copy and paste it using Control-C and Control-V, and then go in and kind of decrease these notes' velocity by alt-scrolling. And then you probably only want like the first 2 measures for this. You want to go to every 4th note and make the velocity much lower. And for the last note, you want to make the velocity a little higher than the staggered note that we made originally. The bass hi-hat pattern should sound something like this right now. And then that will just be your template or basis for your hi-hats for the rest of the pattern. So you can just copy that over for the full 8. And then from there, I'm just gonna add some rolls and maybe some effect tricks. So that's going to be it for me. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Hope you're able to take something away from it. If you liked the video, be sure to leave a like. And if you want to see more tutorials like this, be sure to hit subscribe. If you have any feedback or recommendations, be sure to leave them in the comments below. That'll be it for me. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace.
Yo, why don't you run with this stash?